Apache Junction Water District meeting to order. Roll call.
Chairperson Surtee,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Wilson,
Here.
Mrs. Barker,
Here.
Mrs. Evans,
Here.
Mrs. Rizzi,
I had to take a call.
Mr. Schroeder,
Here.
Mr. Struble.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Consideration of approval of the minutes for June 18th, 2019. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the minutes from June 18th, 2019 be approved.
Second.
There's a second. Roll call.
Chairperson Surtee.
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Mrs. Barker,
Yes.
Mrs. Evans,
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzi, Mr. Struble,
Yes.
Mr. Schroeder,
Yes.
Chairperson Wilson,
Yes. I'm not chairperson,
Vice Chair,
vice chair.
Vice
Okay.
Chair.
Discussion and consideration of resolution number 2019-007.
Whoa.
This is the
We
clearing a
need to
portion
look
of the
into this
public
very
easement
carefully.
located at 1800 West Apache Trail. Mike.
Good evening, members of the board. We have a public utility easement extinguishment here located at 1800 West Apache Trail. That's no longer needed for public use as de minimis use to us. This is not located in the Water District service area. Here's a map. It's located north or just south of Lost Dutchman, just east of Tomahawk Road, and Highway 88 slicing through the middle there. So we recommend extinguishing this easement and provide the ability to fully utilize their property, the homeowners there.
Does anybody want us not to extinguish this thing?
What about on the other side?
We did not get a request from that landowner. The city has also already abandoned this as right-of-way, but we just haven't got one for the east side of 88. It's a different landowner, so we did not propose that extinguishment at this time.
Okay.
If that's all the discussion, I'll ask for a motion.
Your Honor, I move that resolution number 2019-007, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Water Utilities Community Facilities District, City of Apache Junction, Arizona, declaring a portion of the public utility easement located at 1800 West Apache Trail, Apache Junction, Arizona, is no longer necessary for public use and is hereby extinguished, be approved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Struble,
Yes.
Mrs. Evans,
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzi, Mr. Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Wilson,
Yes.
Chairperson Surtee.
Yes. Discussion and consideration for retroactive approval of construction contract with Revolution Industrial LLC.
Okay. We have a 1 million gallon tank located at booster station number 1 that we currently took down this summer. As we noticed, there was some rusting that rusted out the air vent. There were some holes in the floor at that point in time. The tank was dried up. We did have the contractor come in and review what the tank would look like inside. We took a window of opportunity since our neighbors to the north, which is Roadhaven RV Resort, that's up there. There's not very many people living in there right now. I'm sure they'll be back here in the wintertime. So we did a JOC contract with Revolution Industrial, I'm sorry, to recoat the interior and exterior of that coat, that tank. We'll be changing the color from white to tan on the outside. So kind of match more of the desert rather than a bright white that we've had out there in the past. This coating was over 21 years old. It was time for her to replace it, just like we've done on the other 3 steel storage tanks we've had in the past. We just replaced those in the last 3 years, so this would be the final tank that we have to recoat. So we're asking for approval for $379,746 plus contingency, which comes about $417,720. We did budget for this in fiscal year 2019.
That was my question. You knew that. You read my mind.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may I ask Mr. Loggins a question?
Sure.
Can you explain what JOC means and what is it?
Okay.
What's the process?
So JOC is a job order contract. So different cities go out to do tank recoatings. They'll go out to bring in proposals or RFQs of different contractors. They bring them in, and they get the most qualified contractor for the best price. And they give unit prices. So we can go, most of them are intergovernmental where we can use somebody else's. In this case, we use the City of Phoenix job order contract. that allowed us to do coating at a certain price, the same price they would have got as if they were doing coating the city of Phoenix was. It was, went through our process and found the best, most qualified contractors for those jobs.
Thank you.
So are they gonna have to sandblast this one too and
Correct.
take everything down? How long is it gonna take, do you expect?
2 months.
2 months?
The goal is to be finished by November 1st.
I have a question for Joel. Because this company that's doing it is an LLC and not a corporation, if something goes wrong, how does that, where does the city stand on that?
Board Member Evans, there's insurance. Insurance covers it, just like any other professional services agreement, they have to have insurance. So it's standard insurance, just like a corporation would have. And Mr. Loggins will get a certificate of insurance, and it will have the same coverage like every other corporation would.
All right.
Any more discussion? Then do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that retroactive approval of a contract, excuse me, construction contract be given to a coating application at Booster 1 million gallon tank and the exterior of two 500,000 gallon tanks between Apache Junction Water District, Community Facilities District, and Resolution Industrial LLC in the amount of $379,746 plus a 10% for contingency in the amount of $37,974.60 for a total not to exceed $417,720.60 be approved.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Schroeder,
Yes.
Mrs. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Struble,
Yes.
Vice Chairman, Chairperson Wilson,
Yes.
Mrs. Evans,
Yes.
Chairperson Surtee.
Yes.
Passes, Your Honor.
Mike, before we move on, I get asked all the time, and I know I've been told, but I can't remember. The Arizona water tank that's up Idaho, what is the structure that they've built on top of that and why?
That is to support the roof, because they went through the same process we did about a couple years ago where the rafter beams were rusted, and it caused a potential structural hazard up there, so they put the beams up there, and I believe within the next couple of years, you'll be seeing that replaced, and that'll go away. They're gonna also be installing another tank alongside of that, so they can take that tank down, because it's just a single tank that feeds a large area of Apache Junction currently, so they're not able to take it out of service, so they had to build that structure to keep it in service for a while.
Okay, thanks. Presentation and consideration for the procurement of fleet vehicles for the fiscal year.
So the Water District is requesting permission to purchase 2 new F-250s service trucks for a total not to exceed $80,000. These vehicles were budgeted for the 2019-2020 budget year. This is continuing our program of keeping vehicles for 5 years or 100,000 miles and replacing them so that we can keep up with newer vehicles so that we keep down our maintenance costs. And when emergencies arise, we're there and available to make it to them rather than working on vehicles all the time. We are using the state contract, just as the city did, to purchase their vehicles also.
Excellent.
Any questions?
No,
Doesn't look like
Just a comment, I'm really glad to see us making headway on rolling these vehicles over instead of holding on to them as we have in the past, because it cost us more in the long run to hang on, so, thank you.
I just want to find out what dealer you're wearing with, because I'm in the process trying to buy one, and I can't get it for that price.
They're very expensive.
It's under the state contract that's procured, and there's a large amount of vehicles procured under that contract, so I'm sure they get a little more discounted rate.
Yeah, a huge discount.
Yeah, well, just use this contract number that's.
Yeah, okay. I think I get in a little trouble on that one.
With no more discussion, I'll ask for a motion.
We're being recorded here, people.
I don't see a motion here, but I'll make one up.
No on that? Oh.
I move that the staff be given permission to purchase budgeted vehicles, 2 replacement 2020 Ford F-250 regular cab trucks to purchase the vehicles from Santan Ford through the Cooperative Arizona State Contract number K8BADSP012-016671 for a total not to exceed $80,000.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Wilson?
Yes.
Mrs. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Schroeder?
Yes.
Mr. Struble?
Yes.
Chairperson Surtee?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
District Manager's Report.
I have no report, Your Honor.
District Director's Report.
Sorry. Not this.
Just give some updates where we're at. Back before we left for, I guess, summer break there of July and August, we were in the process of installing a chlorine dioxide generator at our water treatment plant. We have that installed. It's been up and operational since the middle of July. We have noticed some improvements. If you remember, this was installed for our total trihallomethanes, so TTHMs. We've noticed a reduction at our plant of about 10 parts per billion. And also in our storage tanks, we haven't seen the reduction that we were hoping for in our system yet, but we believe it's going to just take a little while to make it through the system and be ready for our compliance sample in October. But we are below our compliance level of 80 parts per billion currently.
The word chlorine dioxide, is that run-of-the-mill chlorine, or is that something different?
So it's different. So chlorine is what we typically were used in the past, which forms TTHMs. It's a precursor for them. Chlorine dioxide does not form TTHMs. So that's why we switched to this chemical. We were dosing with chlorine originally. Chlorine dioxide has an extra oxygen, which attaches to some of the total organic carbons. Sorry for going into too much detail here. But it attaches to that, keeps them out of the water before it hits the tanks so that we don't form TTHMs later.
Except when I go to hotel banquets, it doesn't seem like water tastes like chlorine anymore. Have they fixed it, or do they just have the levels monitored?
Just depends upon your taste buds, where you're located at. Most water districts try using chlorine up to 1 dosing. That's where we're currently at here. This does change it a little bit. It does change the taste of your water because we are using a different chemical to dechlorinate and treat for things. But again, no, most public entities are still using chlorine.
Okay.
Any questions on that? And then just another update, our generator and automatic transfer switch was finished in July and August. Here's a picture of our generator. So this was our last site that now all of our sites have redundancy. So we have SRP power and backup generators at each site so that if we do lose power here in town, we will not lose water at least at those point in time. Well 5 replacement. We noticed a decline at well 5 approximately 3 or 4 months ago from 400 gallons to 310 gallons a minute. It's been holding steady. So we've reached out to contractors for proposals to at least pull the well at this point in time to see what we need to do to rehab it. So we have one scheduled currently for this week to come in and pull the well so we can video it and see what we need to do to bring the production back up. So I'll give you a little update at our next meeting. But if you remember here in November, Central Arizona Project, the siphon outage will happen. So we'll be out of CAP water from the beginning of November till mid-December. So our water treatment plant will be reduced flows from there. Hopefully we can make it the entire time based off the canal's capacity. It won't be flowing. It will be the pool of water that's still there. But eventually we may have to shut down the plant for a few weeks at that point in time. So we're going to make sure that our wells are good to go at that point in time so we can produce all the water from our wells rather than receiving it from City of Mesa. We're also in the process of finishing up the contract with SRP so that if we do have an outage on one of our wells, we also have that emergency backup also so we can use SRP's water, treat it at the City of Mesa, up at their Val Vista plant, and move it through the distribution system to our Mesa Interconnect and then receive water from SRP on our recovery wells.
Where
We
do
just
we
want to
get
make
the
sure that.
SRP water?
So it's, physically it's SRP water, but on paper, we're going to use the credits that we've received for storing CAP water.
So
So,
it's out of the CAP, but it belongs to SRP?
correct.
Okay.
It's physically SRP water, but on paper, it's going to be our CAP water that we've stored for these occasions.
Understood.
So that, when that drops from 400 to 310, does that affect the pressure on the lines? And at what level can it drop down to where it doesn't become like a hazard or a big problem?
So all our wells currently go into ground storage tanks, so it doesn't provide any pressure to the systems.
Okay.
So what we're noticing here is the reduction in the well. So either we have some plugging of the perforations in the well casing, so we're getting a reduced amount of water coming up, or we could have poked a hole inside of the column pipe that brings the water to the surface, where it's spraying out in there, or we could have got one of the impellers on the bowls could have been wore out. That's kind of the investigation we need to do to see what happened with the well, so we need to pull it first before we can give them any recommendations or move forward with anything. So, but again, it's going to be very important for us to have all of our system operational for this outage coming in November. So, any other questions tonight?
Whose plate is that?
I'm not sure. I think if Frank found that one day driving around and took a quick picture of it to have for us.
I saw the mayor of Queen Creek this morning. His license plate is QC1.
I'm tired of the QC. That's on the record.
Is that it, Mike?
That's it.
District Treasurer's Report. Anyone else have anything else that we forgot? In which case, we'll be adjourned.